My question is, today,
Yes,
right
sir.
now, this moment as we sit here talking, do you believe, as the lead detective in this case, that your review of the evidence in this case, including the photos,
Yes, sir.
leads you to believe that specific parts of the house are cleaned in an effort to cover up a homicide?
Between the 12th and the 16th.
Ever?
On the 12th, there's a possibility, yes, sir. Between the 12th and the 16th, I have no way of knowing that. But on the 12th, I believe that there were certain areas that were clean and other areas that were, out in the open more than certain areas. For example, the stairs seemed to be very clean to me. Right near the stairs seemed to be very clean to me. Later on, we found out there were some ducks in that area and there were some bamboo shoots in that area. So to say that I could not deduce from that maybe the incident occurred near the steps, maybe the bamboo shoots were knocked over, the ducks were knocked over and broke, is that possible? We would have to look into that. But to say that the whole house was a cover-up to a crime that occurred in the whole house, no, I don't think I've ever come up with that conclusion.
You said that the sticks and the ducks that were missing in the front might have something to do with it, but you'd have to look into that. I believe that was your direct quote. What do you have to look into?
You said I might have to look into it.
Yes, sir.
When we just were talking now?
Yes, sir.
I didn't say I might have to look into it. I said that could have been where the homicide occurred, that there could have been a fight that occurred there. I don't have anything to look into, sir. I believe we've got the person that committed the homicide.
And what physical evidence inside that house has led you to that conclusion?
As I said, the lack of some of the evidence that should be there, the circumstantial information that we've received, the witnesses' interview of the suspect, that's where we've come to our conclusion.
And in speaking with witnesses, you've actually gotten statements that have evolved in time, have you not?
What do you mean involved in time?
Different witnesses have told you different things at different times. For example, Jessica Adam initially stated that she made plans to paint with Nancy over the telephone, correct?
Yeah. Again, if you want me to look it up, I can look it up. If you got it there, I can take a look at it. And you're asking me if it's correct or not correct.
You don't recall that? Do you recall Jessica Adam looking at her phone records and realizing that she didn't have a phone call?
I think that was done by Detective Dismukes, so I don't recall exactly what she said. Again, when Detective Dismukes would brief me on the information that he got, it was not every word that she gave him.
Are you aware that Ms. Adam testified that she made plans to paint with Nancy in person at her house?
I can take a look at my information here again.
I want to object. I don't know whether you're talking about from an interview or from the trial or how it is that you said testify.
And you're asking me to tell you what she testified to?
I'm asking if you heard her testify to that.
I couldn't tell you exactly what she testified to, sir.
Ms. Adam, this is State's Exhibit number 23 that I believe you identified as being the foyer area of the Cooper residence at 104 Wallsburg. Can you tell us if you noticed anything different in this picture than what you noticed when you were there the afternoon of July the 11th?
When I was there on the 11th, I didn't notice the wooden ducks that I had copied from Nancy because I liked the idea. She had a set of wooden ducks from Target that were on that entry table, and then a set of decorative sticks that, again, I noticed because I really liked them and I had always commented how much I liked them, and my memory was that those items were there and therefore not missing when I was there on the 11th.
Okay, and so you're saying when you were there on the 11th, that the decorative ducks were there on the, this key chest or this table that's there in the foyer?
Right, I obviously, when I walked in on the 11th, didn't do an assessment, but that's of what was there. But my memory is that when looking at this picture, the very first thing I noticed is it didn't look right, and it didn't look right because these items that were always there were gone.
Okay, and with regard to this, the decorative sticks that you noticed in that vase there, is your testimony that you recall that on July the 11th, those sticks were there when you were there that afternoon?
Could you
Yes.
tell the jury your name?
I'm Carol Cooper, Bradley's mother.
You've seen the pictures during this trial of all the boxes that were in the house. Was that, do you recall that being the way that you found the house when you were there?
Yes, there was boxes.
Okay. Did you unpack some of the boxes?
I unpacked some of the boxes to try to organize them so that there would be less boxes. And we had to move the boxes when we were painting because we painted the front room and we needed to move them away from the wall.
Ms. Cooper, I'm going to show you what I have marked here somewhere. Defendant's Exhibit 163. Without taking them out of the bag, would you please look in there and see if you can identify that?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Would you tell us, without taking them out, what they are?
There's 3 ducks in here, a red one, a red one, a dark one, and a white one.
Okay. And do you recognize those ducks?
Yes.
Do you recall where you first saw those ducks?
They were in a box in the front room.
Let me take you back a few years. Where were they at in Brad and Nancy's house when you first saw the ducks?
Well, there was 2 ducks at the front door and 1 on the fridge.
Now, when you first came down in July of 2008, were the ducks still at the front door?
No,
Okay, where did you find the ducks then?
they were in a box.
And did you take the ducks out of the box?
I just remember seeing them and I was just trying to get things more compact, so they were in a box.
Now, at some point in time, were the ducks given to Brad's child custody order?
Yes, not just, yes, correct.
And when was and that would be in October or November of 2008?
That's correct.
And did you remember when the next time you saw the ducks was?
Just a few weeks ago.
And are those the same ducks that you saw in Brad and Nancy's house sitting on the table and then later when you unpacked them?
Yes.
Excuse me, Ms. Cooper, I'm going to just pull them out and then ask you to show them to the jury without getting down from there. You don't have to get down. I'm going to mark the red one as 163A and just ask you to hold that up for me.
Okay.
You can stand up and just let them sit. Okay, you can put it there.
There we go.
And now the black one, pull out. I'm going to mark it as 163B. Let's see if
Okay. It says, my name is George.
And this last one, which is the white one, I don't know what its name is. Oh. Sure, has had a chance to see the ducks.
Ma'am, these ducks that we've just been looking at, and I'm not trying to test your memory, I'm just trying to see if you remember anything more specific about it. Do you remember about when it was that you would have first seen them packed up?
What do you
The
mean,
ducks.
the ducks?
The ducks.
I want to say in the first 3 weeks, because that's when we painted, my husband and Brad and I painted in the front room, so that's
Okay.
when we would have seen them.
And they would have stayed in that, I mean, you didn't have any reason to unpack them.
Not really, no.
Okay. And do you remember what happened to those boxes, especially the ones that had the ducks in them?
They were all left in the house.
Okay.
When I left in November, I left. I thought I had to box everything, and then I came to a realization I didn't have to box and pack up this house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why it was that from the time Jessica Adams testified until April the 6th that there's no mention of this? Do you know?
I'm staying with Deb, or Miss Sandlin, sorry, and it came up that we were saying about these ducks, and she says, oh, one of them's in my office.
Okay. And was that right out pretty soon after the trial started?
It was sometime in that period. I'm not sure exactly what date it was.
Ms. Cooper, did you think that anybody would suggest the ducks had anything to do with the murder of Nancy Cooper?
No,
Did anybody tell you the ducks would be important?
no.
When you found out where the ducks were at, did you tell Mr. Kurtz?
Yes,
Me?
yes, we did.
And did Miss Sandlin give you the ducks?
She brought them home from work, yes.
And did you then take them to us?
Yes, we did. We brought them to your office.
And are the ducks that we just showed you, are those the same ducks that were in Brad and Nancy's house?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Ma'am, how long was it between the time that you knew that people were going to be talking about these ducks? I mean, did right after that you go to Mr. Kurtz or Mr. Trinkle and say, hey, I know where those ducks are.
No, it
I've
wasn't.
seen those ducks.
No, I didn't realize the ducks were going to be in this court case at all. And it just happened to be that they had been discussed a few times, and we mentioned it at dinner.
Did
And
you listen to Jessica Adams testify?
yes,
Did you hear her talk about the ducks?
yes,
Did you hear somebody say, were they there on such and such a date? Were they not there on such and such a date? Did you hear?
yes, I did.
And she was showed pictures of all that stuff. You
Sure.
remember that?
She showed pictures
She
of
was
what?
showing pictures of this table in the foyer where the ducks were supposed to have been. You remember all that?
That's, yes.
I'm just wondering why, when you see that, I mean, was anybody told right then, hey, I know what they're talking about?
I don't think anybody brought that up.
Well, Ms. Adams was talking about the ducks or the absence of them,
Right.
and you knew what had happened to them. You knew they were boxed up.
Yes, but I didn't know that Miss Sandlin hadn't gotten rid of the ducks. I haven't been to Miss Sandlin's office since
Okay.
I've returned.
Okay. But, well, as soon as it came, I mean, you know, the state was presenting this theory that these ducks are in the foyer and that's where a struggle was, and they got busted. Isn't that what you gathered from all of that?
That's true.
And didn't you immediately say, hey, those ducks were not there? Those ducks were in a box.
I didn't realize that Miss Sandlin still had the ducks.
But you knew where they were. You knew where they were at the time you left.
That's correct.
You knew they weren't busted up.
Yes,
You knew they had been in a box.
that's true.
Why didn't you say something to somebody about that so, you know, we wouldn't put all these witnesses on that now look like they're a bunch of liars?
Nobody asked
Objection,
me.
Your Honor, it's not her job to take care of the state's case.
I'll withdraw it.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything else, Ms. Lewis?
No, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.